In tonight's show, the United States pulls up with more sanctions, this time specifically targeting Zimbabwe's leaders. Senegal's Macky Sall attempts a political maneuver that's easier to see than Julius Malema at a Steve Hofmeyr concert. We've got the ANC's Integrity Commission entering the ring. Turns out being investigated for corruption might be a problem for political campaigning. We also have the DRC Rwanda saga with accusations flying, balance sheets waving like battle flags, and the AU court in the crossfire. My name is Ashwyn Mberi, and it's time for Second Take.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Now, the United States imposed targeted sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, the First Lady, the Vice President, and other officials for alleged corruption and human rights abuses. The Treasury Department sanctioned 3 entities and 11 individuals accusing Mnangagwa of protecting gold and diamond smugglers, directing officials to sell these items in illicit markets, and accepting bribes. So basically, they watched gold mafia like the rest of us. And as the rest of us know, there was nothing done to the individuals that we watched accept and facilitate bribes on Al Jazeera's YouTube. Of course, the alleged corruption and human rights abuses are nothing new, but I guess the US wanted to make it clear that it has not been a group project. What was certainly interesting to observe, though, is Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema's response to the sanctions. He focused on the seemingly lifted national sanctions, and to him, that was pleasant to see. But it's hard not to feel like some shade was thrown at everyone's favorite scarf-wearing crocodile. That's until you realize that HH actually invited main opposition leader of Zimbabwe at the time, Nelson Chamisa, to his inauguration because HH himself was a long-time opposition politician. After the initial SADC report on the irregularities during the Zim election, it was clear to see that HH was happy to do away with the old way of doing things, which for SADC has been ignoring what is happening in Zimbabwe, buying into and selling the idea that sanctions were placed on the entire nation when really they were placed on individuals that grabbed so much power that sanctioning them looks like you're sanctioning ordinary Zimbabweans. SADC turned a blind eye to election violence, and to be honest, they even allowed their alleged compatriot and Tanganyika Brotherhood member Robert Mugabe to lose his leadership, albeit equally, if not more corrupted in itself, to a military coup. All the while ignoring the voices of Zimbabweans who have decided that perhaps a lack of political freedom, currency, and electricity with an abundance of corruption is a concoction that no one can live on. Now, I don't know if the US ever does anything that does not selfishly serve them. I won't even start to count the US-sponsored coups and genocide. But I will say this, asking for sanctions to be lifted without paying any attention to why they were placed in the first place is like asking for the removal of a do not swim sign without focusing on the crocodiles in the water that prompted the placement of the sign. Let's talk Senegal's Macky Sall. You know, he started the year on a prestigious list, our Dictator Watch. President Macky Sall of Senegal has unveiled a masterstroke in the art of political manipulation by unilaterally postponing the looming presidential elections, just a breath away from their originally scheduled date of February the 25th. Under the otherwise thinly veiled guise of a dispute over the list of approved candidates, Sall has thrown the democratic rulebook out of the window, opting instead for a plotline more reminiscent of aspiring dictators eyeing an extended stay in power. In other words, it's giving Zimbabwe. Despite the assurance that he won't seek a third term, Sal's maneuvers have sparked suspicions of a carefully orchestrated charade, with whispers circulating that the puppet strings might be tightening around the chosen successor, Prime Minister Amadou Ba. This delay, a brazen attempt at elongating his political rule, has elicited a disconcerting air, with opposition parties launching legal battles against what appears to be the ominous overture of a leader inching towards autocratic aspirations, while past flirting with the idea, actually. As the capital, Dakar, becomes the unsettling stage for protests met with heavy-handed police intervention, the specter of authoritarianism looms, leaving Senegal citizens nervously awaiting the next scene in this ominous political drama, with Macky Sall as the main actor, producer, and director. We will be keeping an eye on him as he enters Second Take's Dictator Watch. Now, unfortunately for Sal's attempts at power consolidation, the delayed presidential election has been set for March 24. This decision follows a top court ruling that deems holding the vote after Sal's mandate expires on April 2 as unconstitutional. However, the unfolding events suggest more than just a constitutional dance. They hint at Sal's apparent aspirations that veer uncomfortably close to a dictatorial playbook, because at some point last week, Sal dissolved the government, a maneuver reminiscent of literally all autocratic leaders consolidating power under the guise of political restructuring. The rejection of a proposal for a later vote by the Constitutional Council further underscores the suspicion that Sal is orchestrating the political stage to suit his desires. By pushing for an earlier election date, he not only dismisses constitutional norms, but also raises concerns about manipulating the democratic process to ensure his prolonged stay in power. I just don't know if he has what it takes to be a competent dictator, if a political satirist from Namibia, which is further away from Senegal than Sal is from being democratic, can predict that Sal will make a dictator-like move. You know, the element of surprise is essential when trying to be a competent dictator, and Sal's attempt at staying in power was more obvious than Robert Mugabe's attempt at looking like Hitler. Heartwarming moment of the week after the break.
In 1994, a group of Namibians saw a need for a grassroots Namibian medical aid fund. The Prosperity Medical Aid Fund was born right here, among the hardworking fishermen and ship workers of Walvish Bay. In 2001, in order to establish a fund focused on its members that put their health first, the fund formed its own identity away from its administrators, Prosperity Health. It was named Renaissance Health as a symbol for the renewal of medical funding in Namibia, a transformation in health. Renaissance members voted for their first board of trustees who would carry the fund forward for all Namibians. By 2010, Renaissance had members across the entire Namibia. A fund founded by Namibians for Namibians to ensure access to quality healthcare. In 2020, RMA was put to the test with COVID-19, supplying life-saving oxygen machines door-to-door to members when our Namibian hospitals were full, saving many of its members' lives. RMA is not just a medical aid fund, it's a partner in health for its members, whether through our chronic compliance programs or yearly wellness checkups. RMA was started by you. It belongs to you. A proudly Namibian-first medical aid fund providing the best in care for all Namibians. Renaissance Health Medical Aid Fund, serving Namibia since 1994. RMA. Your health comes first.
In Heartwarming Moment of the Week, Claude O speaks on how being an individual living in the diaspora essentially makes you a time capsule. Enjoy.
I had such a sad thought about being in diaspora, and then I went and I looked at it, and it's true. So people in diaspora are frozen in time because you leave home You come to this new land, and the new land is already trying to change you enough. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to change. And you hold on to certain things that you remember. It could be recipes, it could be a way of speaking, it could be a way of doing things. And you hold on to that because it is a way of you preserving your culture, your identity, for you not letting a piece of yourself get eroded simply because you moved away from home. But the thing is, the people back home are constantly changing, and they're not afraid of change. They're not afraid of trying new things, new ways of speaking, new ways of cooking, new ways of doing things, because they are where the culture is made. While the person abroad, depending on how often they go home, could still be holding on to a practice that has probably been outdated in their homes, and probably even passing it down generation to generation, depending on how often someone is able to go back home and be like, yo, people changed, people no longer do this. Imagine someone who left home like 30, 50 years ago and still cooks a certain meal the same way their mom or their auntie made it back home. But the people back home evolved from that recipe. They tried new ways, they found new, better ways of making it, and they moved on. So in some way, the people abroad are frozen in time because they keep passing those traditions down from family member to family member in a bid to hold on to their culture, which is so sad when you think about it, the fear of allowing yourself to change because you already know that your environment is changing you so much. Like, my accent is not the same as it was 8 years ago when I came here. And no matter how much I try to hold on to the way I speak, some days I'll catch myself say a word and I'll be like, no, what did I just say? It's sad. I'm laughing because it's so sad, because I'm thinking about all the people who are not able to go back home as often and don't feel that connection to home, so they keep holding on to things that are outdated in the name of culture and or holding a piece of themselves. But a good way, I guess you could think about it, is like the people abroad in diaspora being a time capsule of what happened. You could go to someone abroad and taste how they make a certain food, and you could be able to tell, oh, I can tell that you were last home in 2006, you were last home in 1995 because of the way you're making this, because after that something happened, or this thing happened that was really popular, and everyone back home now changed how they make the food. So in some way, I guess the people in diaspora are bridges to the past, time capsules. But all the same, I feel it's just sad that they're not allowed, or they do not allow themselves to evolve, because doing so would be allowing a piece of their identity to be erased.
All right, let's delve into the riveting tale of the ANC's Integrity Commission. A group of elders led by the Honorable Reverend Frank Chikane stepped into the political ring with no desire for power, fame, or a lifetime supply of red berets like the EFF. Instead, they've decided to further investigate the who's who of corruption within the ANC, armed with subpoenas and probably a pension plan. Now, out of the 97 ANC members caught in the corruption case Crossfire, only 5 managed to escape unscathed, saved from the Integrity Commission's Judgment Day. It's like a political version of Survivor, where immunity is earned not by outwitting and outplaying, but by convincing the elders that your hands are as clean as a politician's promises during a campaign season. Wink. The elders, wielding their report like a literary masterpiece, handed ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula a document so eloquently scathing that even the most seasoned wordsmiths would tip their hats. The underlying message: dear politicians, if your integrity were a piece of art, it would be abstract, incomprehensible, and open to interpretation. Keep it away from the public view. Now, the real plot twist comes when we realize that some of these alleged wrongdoers might have to trade their campaign trail dreams for a front row seat in the disciplinary hearing circus. It's actually a political thriller where the protagonists are more likely to be doing community service than kissing babies and shaking hands. As the ANC's election plans hang in the balance, we can't help but wonder, will these excluded members put on their best innocent poker faces and join the political circus, or will they decide that campaigning is just not their cup of tea? Election season is here, and we will continue to tune into the ANC series where the corruption allegations are high and the integrity is very, very low. Stay with Second Take. So, there is no love lost between DRC and Rwanda. DRC President Felix Tshisekedi recently demanded international sanctions be placed on Rwanda. Tshisekedi, in a press conference, didn't hold back. He straight up called Rwanda for what he sees, called them out rather, for what he sees as aggression and accused them of stealing Congolese natural resources. And here's the kicker. The DRC claims that Rwanda is raking in over 19 billion rands worth, Namibian dollars rather, in annual revenue from mining in Congolese territory. It's like Tshisekedi looked at the balance sheet and went, hey, that's our money you're making. I can almost picture the DRC waving an economic audit report like a weapon in a political duel. But wait, there's more. Tshisekedi isn't just mad at Rwanda. He's also wagging his finger at the EU. Why? Because they went ahead and signed a mining industry agreement with Rwanda. And just when you thought that the drama couldn't escalate any further, Tshisekedi drops the bomb. Rwanda's support for M23 rebels is on par with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, it's hard to say that Africa isn't picking a side because Rwanda was essentially left out of the AU Security Council's virtual gathering. Rwanda had to resort to writing a last-minute note to the AU playing the "I'm not angry but I'm disappointed" card. They're accusing the SADC mission of bias. That's new. And then there's the endorsement of the SAMI DRC superhero trio of South Africa, Malawi, and Tanzania. The AU gave them a virtual high five while Rwanda was seemingly stuck in the dark abyss of Zoom calls. It's like the AU said, hey, thanks for dealing with those rebels, you three. Rwanda, who invited you? All right, no one. But the best part, folks, is that the AU is calling for the disarmament of negative forces, and Rwanda's over there going, what rebels? M23? Never heard of them. Maybe they're a book club with uniforms. It's a comedy of denial. And let's not forget Rwanda's plea to the UNSC, desperately asking them not to support SAMI DRC. But guess what? The UNSC is side-eyeing Rwanda hard. It's like trying to convince your friends you're innocent while they have screenshots from the group chat that show your countless selfies with the M23 rebels. TikTok of the week after the break.
Attention kids, we have some exciting news for you. We are back, and this year we are planning on going big. So listen up. If you are in grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 or pre-primary, we are bringing your free school workbooks to you soon. This is all you need to know about where you can find your books. books will be available for free in Republican street sale newspapers and all Namibian Sun newspapers. And for all pre-primary kids out there, your books will be delivered to your school in all 14 regions of Namibia. And there's more. Pre-primary books will also be printed in 9 different languages. Check out when your book will be available from the schedule right here. That's not all. Our free online school is there to help you along the way with video lessons and more books to download. You can also follow along on NTV every Monday to Friday from 9:30 to 11:30 for your daily online school lesson. We thank all our sponsors who are helping to build a brighter future for Namibia. Contact us at info@acdtrust.com and follow us on Instagram.
How well do you know Africa's history? Namois finds out from, I guess, Europeans.
Which African country was never colonized?
South Africa.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
France.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
Rwanda.
Incorrect.
Nigeria.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
Brazil.
Incorrect. No. Which African country was never colonized?
My country, Somalia.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
Congo.
Incorrect. No.
United States.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
Somalia.
Incorrect. Which African country was never colonized?
Ethiopia.
Correct. Gee.
Newsprint Namibia is a web offset printing operation that specializes in the printing of newspapers and commercial inserts. We are the leaders in our industry with the highest quality print work and the shortest turnaround time from computer to print and delivery anywhere in the country daily. Newsprint was established mainly as a newspaper print company, but had to diversify its business to do commercial printing as required in the market. We print commercial inserts previously printed in South Africa in the shortest possible time. We, as an organization, also started printing workbooks for our education system and will also print textbooks for the Namibian market. For more information, please contact print@newsprint.com.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhh.com.na.
Well, good people, that's a wrap on the show that takes the news, throws it in a potjie, and serves it up with a side of laughter. I'm honored to be your anchor in the storm of headlines, reminding you that even when the world feels like a comedic routine gone wrong, we'll be here to find the funny punchline. From diplomatic dances to political power plays, we covered it all tonight. And as we say goodbye, remember, the news may be stranger than fiction, but at least we can laugh about it together. My name is Ashwyn Mberi, and that is my second take.